All right, so for the first time, due to some technical difficulties, I'm reshooting a video. Um, I wanted to talk this time. Oh man, I lost all my links. I wanted to talk this time about the concepts, a couple of concepts. One of them I came across through talking with some people that were dealing with transgendered issues, some transgendered people, and it's the concept of what's called gender dysphoria. And it's a term I'm going to quote here, and I'll put the links in the thing below. Gender dysphoria is a term that describes a sense of unease that a person may have because of a mismatch between their biological sex and their gender identity. And so what this means is that there are people who, when they look in the mirror, um, and they see a male there, it doesn't match their internal understanding of who they are. So they'll see a female, um, on the inside, but the shell, the body that they're in doesn't match. And so that creates in them a sense of dissonance, a sense of disconnect between their physical form and their ideal. And there's a slightly different term, and this is why I had to look this up because I thought the term was gender dysmorphia. It's gender dysphoria. However, there is something called the body dysmorphic disorder, and so it's a slight change in terms, but it has more broad-reaching implications. I want to talk a little bit more about body dysmorphia as opposed to gender dysphoria here, because I think body dysmorphia is something that is a little more prevalent. And at no point do I want to discount the struggle of someone who struggles with gender dysphoria. Um, I just want to maybe draw some connections between the way the rest of us function and the way someone who is struggling with transgendered issues might function. But mostly, I want to talk about the way body dysmorphia can impact our mental health. Okay, so body dysmorphic disorder. I'm going to call it body dysmorphia, and I hope that's okay. Any professionals out there can correct me on that. But body dysmorphia is when we're looking at when what we see is in the mirror is not what we imagine on the inside. And when it becomes a disorder, it's so bad that it becomes an obsession. So this is the kind of thing that can, is connected to bulimia and anorexia. Um, but at less extreme, and this is why I'm using the term body dysmorphia, because body dysmorphic disorder is classified as a psychological disorder that needs treatment. Body dysmorphia is kind of a step away from that. Um, but it is something that I think we need to be aware of, and it's a challenge, honestly, that I think a lot of women are familiar with. And I think part of that is because we our society has set for us kind of a standard of attractiveness that we are expected to hit. And we're very, very aware of the way this can cause a lot of grief for women. Um, it can impact men too. And before I get into kind of the social expectations, I want to talk about something a little bit more individual and personal. And I don't know for sure where this came from. I suspect it has something to do with the fact that my dad had a beard for a lot of my growing up years. But I always connected a beard to a sense of manliness. Like it's part of the rite of passage. A man, to be a man, has to be able to grow a beard. And it took me a long time to be able to do that. I was in my early 20s before I had to shave more than twice a week. Um, and so it took me a while to be able to do that. And over the course of my life, I've grown facial hair. I've shaved it off. I've grown it. I've shaved it off. For a play I was in, I actually, shaved off here and right here, and kind of had this, hair here and this kind of handlebar mustache. So I played with facial hair for a while, and most recently I've been growing this beard for a project that I'm still hoping will come to fruition. It's the same reason my hair is as long as it is. This is the longest it's been, I think, in decades. But anyway, I realized this time as I was growing my hair out and my beard out and kind of trimming it and looking at it, I feel more like the real me, the me that I see on the inside, when I have a beard. Um, I'm also, and this was interesting to me, I'm also very comfortable with having some wrinkles and some, kind of some crags. I feel like I've earned um, a weathered face, and it feels more like me. And that's not, I want to be clear here, that's not negative. It doesn't mean that I feel like I'm an old, beat up old man that's, just past his prime. It just feels like a face that's a little bit worn out matches the fact that I feel like I've been on a journey in my life. And so as I've looked at that, there's a lot about me I'm resolving my external persona with my internal persona, to a certain extent. The long hair I'm not so sure about. I've thought about shaving my head. I've always wanted to know what I look like with a shaved head. I haven't done it yet. I might not, but that's a conversation for later down the road. Um, Probably not even for this video series. But yeah, this sense of matching up our external reality with our internal reality is something that I think is valuable to be aware of, because there are times when it doesn't connect. And an example of that is when when I happen to go shirtless and look at myself in the mirror, there's more around my middle than I feel like there is. And I wanted to connect this to a broader conversation. For those of you who don't know, I studied superheroes, and my doctoral dissertation was on superheroes, and it's been published as a book. Minor shameless self-promotion here, called The Mythology of the Superhero. You can find it at McFarlane Publishing, and wherever you can find kind of pop culture scholarship. It is on Amazon as well. But as I studied this, it's one of the things that, it doesn't take a genius to realize that the bodies of superheroes are impressive, right? Here we have, it looks like I might be blocking a little bit of Hugh Jackman's gut with where this video is putting my face. So just for a second, I'll disappear altogether. Hopefully that works. We have here, Jason Momoa in kind of Aquaman form, Henry Cavill as Superman, Thor, Chris Hemsworth, Michael B. Jordan, who played Killmonger in roughly his Killmonger shape. Then we've got Ben Affleck Batman. Could have thrown Christian Bale in here too. Chris Evans as Captain America, Chris Pratt as Star-Lord, and Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. And you can see they share a lot in common, right? Massive pectorals, bumps down their abdomen, some good definition on the biceps and the shoulders, decent neck muscles. All of this kind of creates an image. And as we watch these movies and identify with these characters, and sometimes with the actors, I'll talk a little bit about that too in a sec, and sometimes the actors, we also take on a little bit of a sense of their image in our internal reality. And this might come as a shock to absolutely no one, but I don't look like that. When I take off my shirt, the largest part of my body sits between my rib cage and my hip bones. And there are times when I look at that in the mirror and it feels so enormous to me. And I am fully aware, and I want to be clear here, this is not any sort of condemnation of anybody else's physical appearance or anything like that. This is my own psychological conversation about this concept of body dysmorphia. And since I already recorded this, I can't remember everything I've said in this one, what I've said in that one, but there'll be a couple of links down below about gender dysphoria, which is what led me to the concept of body dysmorphia, or body dysmorphic disorder, which I don't think I'm to that point. But when I look in the mirror and I see this belly, it doesn't line up with this kind of internal image. And to be clear, I don't see myself looking like these gentlemen. But I do see myself as having a much trimmer stomach, somewhere in between where it is and where these guys are. I'm not anticipating ever having a 6-pack or an 8-pack or, the Lego Batman 9-pack. I don't anticipate having that kind of a physique, but I would like to have a different distribution of my mass. And so this is leading to something I want to talk about in the future, about this disconnect between expectations and reality and what that can do to our mental health. But for now, I just wanted to talk about that and maybe in part say, hey, those of you who struggle with this concept of body dysmorphia, of not having your external reality line up with your internal reality, you're not alone. And I would recommend that you do what you need to kind of, find a way to cope with that. It might take counseling. It might be a question of, okay, what are we going to do about this? If I, and in this case, it's a willingness issue. If I am unwilling to change my diet and to change my exercise, then I need to make my peace with the body that I have. Um, for some, it's an inability. They can't, for whatever reason, change diet and or change their physical activity. Um, if I can and I want to, then I need to kind of engage with that conversation with myself. But I think in this case, and this is my opinion based on what I've seen, it needs to be motivated not by trying to meet some sort of external ideal. It needs to be about me finding comfort with myself. So I can't be looking at these guys and say, oh my gosh, if I don't look like them, then I'm a failure and I'm awful. But one of the things, gosh, I can't remember what I've said and what I haven't, so forgive me if this is repetitive. Um, as we identify with these people and these characters, we identify a little bit with their physiques, right? I very much identify with Steve Rogers as played by Chris Evans in the Captain America movies. His struggles with finding his place speak to me. It's something that I'm still working on, making progress, but still working on. I think that kind of defines his character arc through a lot of the films. I really love Jason Momoa's kind of take me as I am or leave me alone attitude. I admire that, especially because it doesn't come with any sort of antagonism that I've seen. He seems to be just very genuine, and if you like him, that's awesome. If you don't, that's okay too. He's not going to hate you for it. He's just going to, live his life and hope you're happy in yours. And so as I look at specifically at those two, I kind of identify with them, but I don't physically identify with them. Um, you know, so I need to be aware of that and kind of balance my expectations with reality. Uh, but anyway, if you feel like you have some issues with body dysmorphia, it can become disorder level. And in that case, I would recommend mental counseling, mental health counseling. If it's not at disorder level, think about it. Think about how you perceive your reality and what it is, what your actual reality is compared to your psychological reality, and see what you can do to kind of make sure that you're at peace with the skin that you're in. Um, yeah, that's it for now. Um, I hope this makes sense. And I'll kind of expound on this, I think, in the future in a little more of a specific way on this kind of disconnect between expectations and reality. But for now, take care of yourself and good luck.